Hi guys, this is Linda, and in this video I am going to be putting together the week of April 18th through 24, 2022 in my Project Life album. So for this week I had a ton of photos and stories. And so as you know, I print my photos at home on 8.5 by 11 paper, and just wanted to show you that I print my photos ahead of time because I tend to break apart my process between the photos and the portion I do on the computer and the part I do here at my desk physically. So for the part I do on my computer, sometimes I will print my photos ahead of time, or I collect ephemera and other bits and pieces. What I do is I just use 8.5 by 11 page protectors like this, and I just stick them in my album to temporarily hold those photos until I'm ready to put the spread together. So I just kind of wanted to give you a glimpse of that. I also wanted to say that I got some questions to share my process for editing and printing my photos on my computer. So I will plan to include that portion with one of my upcoming Project Life videos to show you guys start to finish how I select my photos, how I edit my photos, and how I print them using Photoshop Elements at home on 8.5 by 11 photo paper. If that's something you're interested, great. Let me know in the comments if you have any specific questions or things you'd like me to address in that video. And I will plan to do it in one of my upcoming spreads, probably in about a month or so. So for this one, I had quite a few photos printed. You can see here I have 4 pages of photos plus these extra ones. So this is not going to fit on a regular spread. So what I decided to do was bring over this insert, and I'm going to add a 9 by 12 insert. I don't know if you can see without anything in the pockets, but there's 2 4x6 pockets and 5 3x4 pockets. So that gives me 10 extra 3x4s and 4 extra 4x6s. So that's a lot of extra space. I'm going to use this as an insert in the middle of the week because it's smaller than 12 by 12. It kind of feels sandwiched in the middle of the week, so it becomes kind of part of one spread to me. And a lot of these photos, so I do have some everyday life photos, but most of these photos have to do with 2 specific events that happened this week. One of them was, this was my daughter's spring break, and we didn't travel anywhere, but my husband and I took Friday off of work, and we went and did some family stuff. We went for a hike, so I have some photos from that, and then we went to go see baby animals at a farm, so I have some photos from that. So that's one day that is going to take up a large portion, and I'm probably going to do that on the back side of here through this side, and that will be kind of that day. The other big story I had was our yard. So this is late April, and it was finally time to kind of get outside and do the yard work and get the yard ready for spring. So I have some photos of me checking on the yard throughout the week. We actually had some late snow on Tuesday. So I took these photos during the week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Sunday, in the same spot in my yard. And so what I decided to do was in Photoshop Elements, I just added a letter for the day of the week. And so I'm going to do those kind of across the left-hand side here of the spread. And then I have a bunch of photos from the yard like throughout the week. And I have some photos of kind of us working on the yard and what it looked like after I did the work in the yard. So I have that to include. And then I do have a few, everyday life photos. So I will arrange that on the first half of the spread. As far as products, I'm just going to pull from my stash for this. Because I have a lot of garden related and outdoor related, I'm going to look through my stash and pull out cards that are related to those themes and products and try to kind of use up some of the things I have in my stash. So I think that's it. I'm going to go ahead and put you on fast forward and start putting the spread together. Thanks.
Okay, guys, so as usual, the first step is just cutting out all of my photos. I had so many photos this week, and I'm working with an insert, so it's really difficult to kind of visualize how everything is going to fit on the spread. If I wasn't filming this video, I probably would have cropped down some of the photos and laid them out in the middle of my process of editing and printing photos, just so I could see kind of how many photos I had and what sizes I needed more of or what sizes I couldn't use any more of. But because I'm doing a video, I wanted to edit and print all of the photos ahead of time. So I did kind of have to keep that in mind when I was editing and printing. My general thought was that this left-hand side is going to be the yard and the everyday life stuff. And then the right-hand side is going to be the day that we went for the hike and to see the baby animals. So I'm just kind of going through all those photos and getting a general sense of how everything will lay out in the spread before I decide to pick out any products. Because to me, the photos are the most important piece of project life. So I do want to make sure that they are what comes first in laying out my spread. I don't do that every single week because sometimes I do like to mix it up, but usually that is what I do. So I apologize because in the middle of this video, I had to take my phone down to do something else. And then when I put it back, it seems like I didn't put it in the right spot. So some of my process is a little bit off the page, but I think that you can see most of it. So what I'm doing now is going through cards from my Project Life card organizer. And I have another video that shows kind of how I organize those cards, but I chose a few different topics, themes from my organizer to go through that might fit this specific spread. So I knew that this was an outdoor one and I have an outdoor travel category. So I went through all of those first and I decided to choose some that were around a specific color scheme. When I'm not working with a kit, one way to really make sure that I end up with a cohesive spread is to choose some key colors and kind of go towards those colors in selecting my products. So I decided to go with a lot of yellows for this project, and I do end up using some like lime greens because that color shows up a lot in my photos as well. So you can see I'm testing out some cards there. I was thinking about cards I could cut up. And now I've moved on to the spring related cards. So this left-hand side of my spread here is a lot about the garden. And so what I wanted to do were get some cards that were related to April or spring. And so if you see my Project Life card organizer, I do organize some cards by season. So I'm going through all of the spring related ones. And just like with the right-hand side, I pulled out some yellow ones. And now I'm going through the 4x6 cards of that same spring category, trying to select some to use for my title card and that other filler spot up there. So I'm rearranging all of the cards and you can see I'm testing out a few others. And now I have one 4x6 spot left and I don't really have anything specific to put there. So what I decided to do was go through my Project Life card organizer. I have a section for prompt-based stories that have specific prompts, and that can kind of prompt me to tell a story that I wasn't necessarily planning on telling. So I went through those and I selected that one that said today was over and over again. Then I went over to my computer and did some typed journaling on vellum. I did this partially because I was printing some typed vellum for another project, but I also thought that I could fit some more words because I did have quite a bit to say about a couple of these stories to include on those cards, and because I do have so many photos on the spread and not a ton of journaling cards. So on this 4x6 card, which I believe is from Feed Your Craft, I typed up my journaling all about that Friday and what we did. And then what I'm doing now is going through my stamp organization binder and trying to find a stamp that is like a geotag. So I have a section that is geotags here, there, place. So I'm looking at that one and I selected this geotag stamp and went and pulled it from my stash. It's from Kelly Perky. And I wanted to just put it there because that card has a section that says place for the location, but I am including the location elsewhere on the spread, so I didn't want to write it again. Next, I'm going through my chipboard organizer and pulling out chipboard pieces that are related to these themes. Having my chipboard organized by theme has helped me use it so much. It is right below my desk here and it's in a drawer. And what I did was I pulled all of the chipboard out that are in my category that's labeled outdoor. And I'm just going through them and selecting some that will match this spread and just kind of laying them out to get a general sense of where I want them. Then I also pulled out some from my spring section. And then I also have some by color. So I looked into the yellow section because, like I said before, I'm using a lot of yellow on this spread. So that was a good way to find some additional chipboard that would match. Now that I have all of the cards and chipboard selected, I'm starting to put together my cards. For this pocket, I wanted to cut out that little bear that said adventure, but when I put it on the photo directly, it kind of got lost. So I'm deciding to ground it with some washi tape that I picked up from Studio Calico this month of May. It's with the May kits of 2020. I went through a phase where I wasn't really using washi tape anymore, but now I'm really back into it. So I have been picking up some new washi tapes. I wanted to do some other treatment on a few of the other cards, so I decided to go over to my stash of word phrase strips and pull out some of the colors that I'm using that had themes. So that green one there is from the Bloom Story Kit, which I thought would fit perfectly with the themes of this week. And then I pulled out a yellow one and a couple of white ones. I think one of the white ones is from the Season Story Kit, and then the other one is just an Allie Edwards one. And I think the yellow one is from Studio Calico. And I just added a collection of word phrase strips on some of my photos to have a repeated embellishment cluster. And then you saw there I was rearranging some of the cards as well to get them to kind of in an order that I like. When I'm doing a repeated embellishment cluster like this, I don't want it on two photos that are right next to each other. I want to make sure that it feels kind of balanced across the spread. So that was one reason why I was rearranging things. I also don't want to have something on every single photo. So you can see there that photo of my apple cider donut. I didn't put anything on, and that just kind of helps make the spread feel more balanced to me. If you've watched any of my other videos, you know I typically don't put anything into the pockets until the very end, but because I'm working with an insert and it's difficult to have everything out on my desk at once, and I do have to work on the back of this page protector, once I finish this spread on this insert, I decided to put everything in the pockets just to kind of get it out of the way so I could work on the other side. Now I'm going to work on this 12 by 12 side over here. And one of the things I'm going to do is stamp out the locations that we went to. To do this, I'm using an older Studio Calico stamp set, and I'm stamping out Thatcher Park and Indian Ladder. It was Indian Ladder Farm, but unfortunately that didn't fit on the card, but I think that that's fine. I just wanted to stamp the locations of where we went, and then I also pulled out another geotag that I picked out when I was looking at my stamp organization binder, and put that on the card as well where it said location, because of course I'm not going to write the location in at the bottom because the entire card is about the location. And then it seemed a little like it was missing something, so I added a word phrase strip on top of the geotag and I wrote the date in there as well. So now I'm going to start adhering down the chipboard pieces. That one that says wild and free on that photo of me and my daughter, I specifically put it there because there was a piece of trash on the ground, and I didn't want that to show in our photo. Sometimes when I put chipboard on photos, I am just covering up something that's in that photo. Other times I'm just embellishing for fun. So for this one right here, I wanted something to kind of ground the chipboard. I don't like it when it's just a chipboard on a photo. I like it once in a while, and you can see I did that on a few of the photos here, but if that's on every single photo, just one chipboard, it feels kind of incomplete to me. So I wanted something additional to kind of ground that chipboard up in that right-hand corner. Now I'm moving on to the left-hand side of my spread. So again, I put all those photos in cards in the pocket so I could set it aside and work on this side of my project life process. So now I'm putting the dates on my title card. And again, I apologize for the work that's going off the screen. When I put my camera back on the mount, it was in the wrong place, and I didn't notice until after I was going to edit this video, but I think that you can mostly see most of the process. So I'm following that same treatment on this card that I did on the one on the other side of the page, where I'm using that washi tape, a word phrase strip, and a chipboard piece. Once I have some embellishments that I've pulled out to work with on a spread like that washi tape, I tend to go back to it over and over on the same spread because it just makes it more cohesive. If nothing I have out is working for me, I will pull something else out of my stash, but I tend to continue to go back to the same pieces over and over. I saw these two chipboard pieces in my chipboard drawer, and I pulled them out because they coordinate with each other and with the colors, and I just thought that it was perfect sentiments as well. So I added them on those two photos, and then I'm working on this Today Was card. So Sunday this week, we did a bunch of gardening. We went and got froyo for my daughter's work, and I rested, and it was just a good day. So I used my stamps to kind of repeat some sentiments for what today was for Sunday. because this page here is mostly about what we did on Sunday, and that S on that I put on that photo that I edited with my feet and the flowers stands for Sunday as well. And on the left-hand side there, you can see Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday as I showed the progress of the weather and my tulips throughout the week. And then the Sunday one is, of course, after I cleaned up the yard and picked out all the weeds and the dead plants from the winter and added new mulch. So it looks so much better than the ones on the left-hand side, and I just love seeing that comparison. Again, I'm adding some word phrase strips using the same sheets that I had pulled from for the other side of the spread, because although there are two kind of mini spreads within one, I still want it to be cohesive across the entire week, because to me this is one full spread still, and that insert is smaller than a full spread. So I do want to make sure that everything coordinates, because you can see it all at once. For this April Moments and Memories card, which was from an older Stories by the Month kit, I'm using my it's a clean color dot zig marker as a bullet point to add some additional stories from this week that didn't really fit any of my photos or weren't included elsewhere on the spread. And I just added a bullet at the end there that I didn't write in, because I did want to write one story in that I'm going to blur out in the photos. And then I think that is it. But because I have this insert here, I decided I wanted to add a tab on it. The Awesome Story Kit was sitting over on my desk, so I pulled over some of the strips from the Awesome Story Kit and was planning on using those at first, but I didn't like the way that they looked because they were too small. And they were white. So I decided to use some of the stickers that I had pulled out, these green ones. So I found one that said Start Blooming and one that said The Story, and I just put them back to back and adhered them on here. And I'm using that as a little tab. Just, it's not necessary, but I like it because it is a smaller page in the middle and it just kind of brings everything together. I forgot to take photos, but these are for my Instagram, so hopefully you enjoyed this video, and let me know if you have any questions.